Welcome back to another episode here on the Carnivore Diet Podcast. My name is Jerry Lee Colbert, and today we're going to be talking about my CAC score, my Coronary Calcium score that I received from the hospital that the VA had sent me to in order to find out about what they perceive as a bad diet choice. Now, of course, I've been on the carnivore diet for a little bit. And when they had done a blood test on me, they found that my cholesterol was high. And then they did an ApoB test, which was also high. And so they sent me for a CAC score, which is basically a coronary artery calcium score. And what they do there is they just put you in the hospital. Well, you don't go in the hospital, but they take you in. They run a CT scan of your heart, and from there they determine what parts of your heart are at risk. Okay. So when you look at my calcium score, it's at 522, which is very high, as you can see. Low risk is 0 to 10. Moderate risk is 11 to 100. Moderate to high risk is 101 to 400. And of course, greater than 400 is high risk. But what parts of my heart are bad? Well, according to this, everything's pretty much okay, except for the LAD, which, as my doctor so eloquently put it, is the widowmaker. The widowmaker is above average, way above average, at high risk. So now he's emboldened even more that he is right, that the carnivore diet is deadly. Now, the question is what was my CAC score before I started carnivore? We don't know, because I didn't even know what a CAC score was. Many of you out there right now who maybe you go to the doctor often. I never went to the doctor that often prior to starting the carnivore diet. In fact, I didn't go to the doctor much even after starting the carnivore diet. I just don't like doctors. I don't go that often. So I didn't even know what a CAC score was. I only found out what a CAC score was from Dr. Ovadia's videos about what you should get tested, and that, a basic lipid panel, which is what the VA had actually ran on me when they saw that my total cholesterol was high. He says, well, basic lipid panel is kind of pointless because you need an advanced lipid panel because you need to see the size of the particles of your LDL, and that's what actually matters. Well, my VA doctor refuses to actually do that. He refuses to do an advanced lipid panel. So he did a total, he looked at the total cholesterol from the basic panel that made him say, I need an ApoB test, which was also high, but that doesn't prove anything either, because ApoB could be high because of the total cholesterol, but it might be high because of a certain part of the total cholesterol that isn't associated with anything bad, if you get what I mean. But, of course, my VA doctor now says, hey, I'll send you for a CAC score. It's probably going to be high, and sure enough it is. So now he's emboldened to send me to radiology to do a chemical stress test. And to be honest with you, I don't know why I bother, but tomorrow, of course, today is Tuesday, June 17th of this recording. Tomorrow I'm going to purchase my own advanced lipid panel from Quest Diagnostics. And I'm going to find out exactly what my advanced lipid panel shows as far as my LDL, because there's a couple parts there. There's the fluffy or large particles, and then there's the small particles. And see what the ratio of that is, as well as other criteria in the advanced lipid panel that will show really how bad things really are. Now, they could be bad. It could be things that I had prior to carnivore. But we'll see what that score is, and I'll probably do a video on that as well, going over those results. But I feel fine. I feel okay. I don't feel like I have any kind of heart issues, but let's put this in context. I was eating a standard American diet for, I think it's about almost around 40, 50 years. Yeah, it's about 50 years. And I had issues. I was overweight. I had arthritis. I had a slew of issues. You have no idea. I had a lot of heart problems, by the way. I had a heart attack, a mild one, back in 2009, 2010. And if I hadn't stumbled my way to the gas station and got some aspirin, I probably wouldn't be here today talking to you about it. And I've had a lot of issues with my heart. Even since I was 18, I mean, my heart would go out of rhythm. I'd have to beat my chest in order to get it back in rhythm so I wouldn't pass out. One time I was working at a hotel, and I was in front of a guest talking to him. I didn't want to beat my chest and cough, That's how I usually got it back in rhythm, is cough and beat my chest. And so after I got to talk to him, I waited too long. I walked into the back, and I passed out there on the floor. They had to rush me to the emergency room. And they did one of those, heart cath things, which caused some nerve issues in my leg, by the way, even though they said it didn't, but it did. And, they found some plaque buildup, but, nothing much, but they could never figure out what was causing these things, right? Come to find out later, it was all because of caffeine. I was a caffeine junkie, basically. I drank a lot of Mountain Dews, which they said is the worst drink on the planet. And I drank a lot of coffee, a lot of Starbucks espressos and stuff like that. Well, that's not good for your heart at all. Well, I cold turkey stopped doing that, and I never had any more issues with that, going out of rhythm. But I did have, like I say, in 2009, did have that issue with having a small heart attack where I don't know how I survived that, because I tell you what, I was actually laying in bed at a hotel, and I felt this tightness in my chest, and it woke me up, and something told me to get up. So I got up, and then I collapsed to the floor, clutching my chest, and I happened to call my friend, and maybe I need to get some aspirin quickly. So I got up somehow or another, barely made it to the front desk, and they said, sorry, we don't have any aspirin, So, but there's a gas station right across the street. So I stumbled over there, barely able to breathe, very tight in the chest. I was, about to black out, and I got some aspirin, baby aspirin, and took that. And within I don't even remember, maybe 30 minutes or something like that, I was fine. It might have been even sooner. I don't even remember. It's been a while. But I never did go to the doctor to get that checked out, because I've never really been a fan of doctors, because I know that doctors are practicing medicine. They're not real doctors. They're just practicing medicine for the pharmaceutical industry. They're taking medicine and giving it to the people. That's what practicing medicine means. They're practicing medicine. They're saying, hey, let's try this drug on this person. And all they're doing is drugging people into submission, basically. And, the more I learn about all this stuff, the more aggravated I get about how, the food industry, the medical industry, as well as the pharmaceutical industry are against the people. They're against the people for profit. It's a big business that some of us are trying to go against. And, so when you have these calcium scores and the doctors, ringing their little parade that, hey, the carnivore diet's dangerous, you have to take a step back and say, well, gee whiz, doc, And everything you told me to do for the last 50 years didn't help me. I had all kinds of issues, and now I don't have arthritis. Now I've lost a ton of weight. And, what's going on with that, But all they can focus on is what they've been spoon-fed. Like my VA doctor said, hey, I just got back from a American Heart Association meeting, and they told me all you need is statins. Statins. But statins don't do what they think it does. I mean, sure, it lowers the cholesterol, but it lowers the good cholesterol. So therefore, the total cholesterol, which is all they focus on, because they just run a basic lipid panel, right, goes down, but that's because the good and the bad go down, but the good goes down more. But because they don't know the difference, because they only run a basic, they don't know about the good and the bad, right? They don't know, and I'm talking about as far as the good and bad in the LDL. I'm not talking about the HDL. I'm talking about the good and the bad in the LDL, because there's good and bad in the LDL as well, okay? And there's also things you got to take in consideration. Is your HDL to triglyceride ratio correct, right? So back in 2022, when I started the Carnivore Diet, September of 22, I stopped it in May of 2024 because I broke my leg, was in the hospital, had my gallbladder taken out because I was in the hospital, and for about a month, and I wound up getting my diet derailed because they kept feeding me all this real food that they called it, because they said, you can't eat steak or meat, that's not real. But this Jell-O and this pudding's real. And so they were feeding me all this junk, which kind of derailed me. And when I got out of the hospital with a broken leg, still suffering from all that pain from that, and suffering from being bloated from them blowing me up like a doll, basically, to get my gallbladder out, I wound up just eating light food that didn't really bother or upset my stomach because there's only so much pain I could deal with, right? So I kept that up for about 6 months until my leg healed and my, gallbladder was, better, because my gallbladder was gangrenous. So it took me a little bit longer than most people getting that taken out, right? Well, now, here we are in January. I wound up in January 2025. I wound up going back on the carnivore diet. And of course, it was a little bit rockier because why? Because I didn't have a gallbladder, so I had to navigate around all that craziness. I tried Paul Saladino's way of doing things with some carbs and everything, and that didn't really work out because my gut was sore. Actually, my stomach was really a mess. So I had to kind of change things around on that. I still actually drink some raw milk. But, yeah, it's just, these are things you got to keep in mind, okay, guys? That it's not always black and white like they try to make it seem. Sometimes things, especially with the human body, are a little bit more complicated than that. But all I really wanted to do was show you all my CAC scan results. We'll go over another video on my advanced lipid panel later. But if you do have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'll try to answer that when I get a chance. And, like always, if you like these kind of videos and you want to see more of these in the near future, make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell. With that being said, I want to wish you all a wonderful week, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Take care.